Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first May edition of Topic Time with Harrison Young in 2017. It's Wednesday, May 3rd. It's not bad out. The clouds are a little fluffy. The breeze is a little stuffy, and I like it that way. And, of course, in here, we're heating things up again with another amazing guest, this gentleman here. And, in fact, he informed me he's a filmmaker, he's an actor, he's got a lot of credits to his name. There's a guy here, Skip Shea, Mr. Skip Shea, and he told me just a few minutes ago, and I didn't even know this about him, that he was actually in Shutter Island with me back in 2008, and he also played a mental patient, a role I was born to play. But he got a more notorious role because he was actually seen being carried off, I believe, in the scene that he did, correct?
Yeah, it's the same with me. Typecasting works.
Right.
Right after the big hurricane outside, and they go out and there's bedlam everywhere, and I'm an escaped patient, and I'm running around, and then two orderlies corner me, and they drag me away.
They must have been pretty big orderlies, because you're kind of big yourself.
Yeah.
But I guess they had to set it up like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was wonderful. And did you see yourself in the film?
I did.
Cool.
No, I was even in the trailer. That scene.
Wow.
When they said
it's
an island for mental patients, they cut to me. So it was
Yeah. Well, you have that kind of look. You have that look.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
You have that kind. Well, I want to thank you for coming in tonight. I do that with all my guests. And, of course, what I also do is I profile the guests as thoroughly as possible and find out all about them. We've been Facebook friends for a long time.
Yes, we have.
We have, and I've seen a lot of your stuff. And as a matter of fact, I'm not positive of this, but I may have actually auditioned for some of your films, too, in the past few years.
I don't do auditions.
Did you ever? I mean, what I'm saying is, did you ever have people audition for your films before?
Only on one, and it was when I was hired to direct a film for somebody else.
Was that in like 2008, around the same time as Shutter Island?
No. I actually didn't even start making films. I made my first short in 2009.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So this is all. I started all this pretty late in life.
Okay, late in life. You don't look that old, though. But Well, you're in the range. You're probably around my age, give or take. All right. Let's talk about what I always do is, like I say, I profile people. When I do that, I go back as far as I can, like even their childhoods, to figure out or find out what got them to where they're at this point in life. And I always say everything happens for a reason. So it's not like I'm a griller. I don't grill people. We have an easy back and forth conversation. So when I ask questions, and usually it brings to mind things that are relevant to their lives and their careers. So tell me about your childhood. Where did you grow up? What were you like? Were you an outgoing kid? What kind of people did you hang out with? And so go ahead.
I'm from Uxbridge.
You're still there now?
I am.
Great town, great little town.
It's pretty good.
Blackstone County, I believe.
Blackstone Valley, it is.
Blackstone Valley.
We're in the Worcester County.
Yep.
I live like right on the Rhode Island line.
Yeah, I know. It's a sweet little town.
It's okay. Grew up there.
Yep.
And if you've seen my movies, you know what happened to me there. I'm a survivor of clergy sexual abuse.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the big thing about me and my work.
Wow.
Most of my work covers that. I was abused at St. Mary's in Uxbridge.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I got to ask. We hear about some of the other schools like I believe it was the Habashi School in Randolph had a big scandal about sexual abuse that went back to the 40s and the 60s. Why was not the school in Uxbridge ever mentioned that I've heard of in the news?
Well, it has been mentioned in the Worcester papers.
Oh, it has been, but not in, okay.
But just not in this area.
I see, right.
And certainly not in Boston.
Exactly, okay. Because that's interesting. All right, well, you don't, obviously you're okay talking about that.
Oh, yeah, that's what a lot of my work is about.
Well, it's interesting. So, I know as awful as that was, it almost sounds like it inspired you to become a filmmaker in some way, in some bizarre way.
Well, the strange thing about me that way is that even as a kid, I was always drawing and painting.
Okay.
So even before I was abused, I was an artist.
Okay.
I mean, that was my goal, was always to be involved in the arts one way or another. So I don't know. I think it might have informed the subject matter that I want to do, but I think I would have been doing this anyway.
Okay. Wow. Well, when you say drawing and painting, did you go to someday become a drawer, an artist, drawing, painting, sculpting?
I've actually, that was my first, I've been a painter first before I did filmmaking.
Right. Successful sold any
I sold
paintings?
some.
Okay.
I did okay.
Okay.
I did okay. But then but I was always writing too. I love to write. I'm always writing. And
Right.
then,
Okay.
in 2005.
Yep. 12 years ago.
I decided to. I did a one-man show about all of this.
Wow.
Because a lot of my art reflected it, and a lot of my writings reflected
When
it.
you say a one-man show, no, I'd say stand-up, but obviously there's nothing funny about.
Oh, there was a lot of comedy in this.
Really?
You can't talk about this to the general public
Without
without
trying to
making
make
jokes, because
turning
otherwise
them, doing it on a 180 and trying to make them laugh, even though it was serious.
I think people, if they laugh, they're more comfortable with the
Oh, yeah.
subject. If otherwise, it's they'll go running.
That's amazing
screaming.
that you can actually talk about it and make them laugh. I mean, so this was basically stand-up based on.
Well, it was both. It was there was an arc to the story, and there was
Yeah.
a part when it was really gut-wrenching for everyone.
Of course.
And then hopefully there was some sort of resolution for them at the end.
Okay. Where did you do this one-man show?
The first, having never done this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I premiered at the Bowery Poetry Club in New York. So I was in Manhattan.
New York City. Wow.
Yeah.
How did you end up? I mean, how did you arrange it so you could do that in New York?
Well, I was also a poet. Like
Okay.
I said, I was writing.
Yeah, yeah.
So the Bowery Poetry Club, it's like down near.
Oh, it's a poetry club.
It was a club. It was down near CBGB's. I mean, it was kind of a cool section of New York.
Right. Well, Manhattan is the coolest. Some say. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love it.
Right.
So I sent a proposal to Bob Holman, who was running it at the time.
Okay.
And he accepted it. So
Wow.
we booked the date, and then the night before, I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell am I doing? I'm on stage in New York. I've never done this before.
Wow.
And I'm starting in New York.
Quite overwhelming that must have been for you.
For that night, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Then afterwards, I ran for a month in Somerville. Jimmy Tingle picked it up.
Okay. Wow. So you work with Jimmy?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a Facebook friend. I'd love to get him on the show.
He's amazing. He is
Right.
an amazing, kind, giving human being.
Yeah. Whenever I send him, I have to be on my show. He totally ignores me. Maybe you could say something to him. That's
I will do that. Well, Facebook is kind of a hard way to contact anyone, I think.
not really. I have 2,050 something Facebook friends,
Look
and
at you.
I get most of my guests that way.
So yeah, but I don't know if how often he's not like a social media guy.
Well, I've seen him communicate with people. Well, we'll talk
Yeah.
about him later. Let's get
Yeah.
back to your performance.
But
That's cool.
so I was there for a month, and
Okay.
then
You were where for a month? New York?
no, at Jimmy's.
Oh, Jimmy's in Somerville.
Yeah.
So you actually did the show for a month.
It was. Let me put it this way: it was twice a week, monthly.
Okay.
So it wasn't for the whole month.
I understand, but it covered the cost. It covered the duration of a month.
Yes.
Twice a week. All right.
And then after that, I kind of went from like Delaware to New Hampshire, touring, regionally with it.
Wow.
And then I
Did you have a name for this? Just the one-man
oh god,
shock
no,
show?
yeah, this ridiculously long, stupid name, because I wasn't thinking at the time. It was Catholic Surviving Abuse and Other Dead End Roads.
Wow.
But there's a book of poetry. Actually, I got a book of the poems were published.
Okay. Wow.
So that did all. So, and after that, I kind of morphed into the acting in movies for a little while.
Okay. So how long ago was this?
Well, I probably started doing the movies.
Give or take.
Things in
2005?
In 2006. It was actually on Halloween in 2006.
Okay.
I was doing free, background stuff for a movie called Shuttle in Worcester.
Okay.
And I had no idea what I was doing.
All right.
None. And I show up and supposed to be a businessman just getting on a plane or off a plane.
Well, you're supposed to be. This was a role you had as an actor in this film,
It was
correct?
just background. It was,
background,
It was,
okay,
it was
yeah.
like free.
Okay.
So I showed up just to see what a set was like.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there, and somebody walked over to me. Why are they looking at me? And then they bring somebody else over. Would you please stand up, turn around?
Okay.
And I did. And then they said, we need to bump you up to the pilot, and he's not here.
Wow.
So the first time I'm on a set, I bumped, and
That's a good thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But somebody came over to me and said, "You're a SAG, aren't you?" with this piece of paper, and I said, "No, I'm not." And they turned around, and then I thought, I'm losing something right now, because I was losing pay, because I wasn't SAG. So
Oh, no, that's
so
too
then
bad.
I had to learn, the ropes of working in film in New England.
Sure. Okay. Well, did you become SAG after that?
I am, yes.
No, of course, okay.
Back then, the unions
They
weren't
couldn't
merged.
pay you because you weren't SAG. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they didn't have to.
Well, they didn't have to, but I mean, Wait a minute. Is that determined because you weren't SAG that they didn't have to?
Yeah,
In other words, if you're SAG, then they have to pay you. Is that the rule?
Yes, because I'm sure this was like if you want to get the SAG contracts, but I'm sure this was like an ultra low budget, so they didn't have to pay me.
Okay.
So
Well, a lot of films, it was an indie film, right?
well, it was, but I mean, it had some sort of distribution.
Okay.
Tom Kemp was in it.
Okay, I know the name. Yeah.
So he's a good, really good local actor.
Okay.
So I just kind of knew that I had to learn the ropes.
Okay. And how'd you go about doing that?
I asked everybody else and said, what do I, I found some casting directors. That's when I learned about Boston Casting, CP,
Okay.
LDI in Rhode Island.
Right. Wow.
And LDI probably helped me the most, and Mulhall.
Mulhall, yeah.
So, then I ended up doing The Bronx is Burning, and I was bumped in that.
Which is burning?
The Bronx is Burning was shot in
Oh,
Connecticut.
The Bronx is burning. Wow. About the Bronx.
Right. It was about the year of the Son of Sam and the New York Yankees.
1977, 40 years ago.
Yeah, it was when Reggie Jackson hit the 3 home runs.
Right, the fall of 77.
Yeah.
I remember that day. October 18th, 1977. Photographic memory for dates.
That is pretty awesome.
Well, yeah.
So I did that, and then after that I joined AFTRA.
Okay.
And back then when the unions weren't merged, I could then work SAG, so I worked both. So
Okay.
then I was kind of automatically in both.
Okay, that's a while ago.
That was.
Geez, because, I was only 18 myself at the time, so, I guess, you've been doing this a while. Well, wait a minute, I'm sorry, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, my bad, I'm thinking the year 70, you were doing a film about 1977, but it wasn't in 1977.
Yeah, no, it was 2006 or
Okay, yeah,
6.
okay, that was my slip of the head here.
I was thinking, wow, you're a lot younger than me for a moment there.
Well, exactly, yeah.
So then I got in the union. And
Okay. So, all right. So you got in the union, and what happened after that? And by the way, if you want to, I want to hear you write. Do you still write it? You write now, and do you write anything that's? What have you been written lately?
I'm constantly
working on.
I'm constantly writing. I have like 5 feature lengths written now, 5.5.
Okay. Films.
Feature length films. Yes.
Okay. Has any of those films? Let me ask you this: any of the things you've written been done already as a film?
Well, every short that I did,
Yeah.
I wrote. No, I shouldn't say that because people hired me to direct theirs.
Okay.
But I wrote most of the things that I've directed.
Okay.
And my first feature, Trinity, that's out there now, I wrote that as well.
Okay, it's out there. So how long was that? You say it's a feature. How long was it?
It's 85 minutes long.
85 minutes. That's a feature. Okay.
It
And
is
how
a
long?
feature.
And how long did it take you to put it together?
Well, about 18 months.
Okay, and
From shoot to really finishing.
With the name Trinity, it sounds like it might have had some religion involved.
Well, it's completely about clergy abuse.
It is. Wow. Okay.
It's actually it says based on a true story.
Okay.
And it's based on a moment in my life when again I'm going to say this was 2002.
Okay.
I'm Christmas shopping with my wife.
Yep.
And we walk into a bookstore.
Yeah.
And the priest who abused me was working there.
Oh, my
hey,
goodness.
Skip, how you doing?
Oh,
this
man.
like conversation, and it kind of I had this
Wait a minute. This was that he abused you, and everybody knew it. Didn't he go to jail for that?
No. Who goes? Well, he did in Texas, not here. No, nobody goes to jail for this here.
They don't?
No. Gagan, I think, did. Who else?
Gagan did, yeah, exactly. And he was murdered in jail, too.
But name another one.
I don't know. I don't know because I don't know much about it. All I know is, wow.
Very, very, very few go to jail.
Wow.
Very few are prosecuted.
Okay,
And
wow.
that has a lot to do, this would be a really long and boring show, but that has a lot to do with the statutes of limitation.
I understand. You don't want to get too much in it. Well, that must have been quite overwhelming for you to have him say that. You must have wanted to. Well, I don't even want to think what you were thinking at the moment.
It was, and we talked about mental illness before, but it's dissociation, when you're not there anymore. You're not present.
Things seem surreal to you.
Your mind goes away, and that's what happened to me.
Wow.
So that's what Trinity. I wanted to kind of show what that moment feels like.
Oh my goodness. And you led up to it and kind of leading, one event after another, leading to a climax type of scenario, correct?
In Trinity, yeah. I mean, I did a coffee shop because it was easier than a bookstore.
Yep. Well, if you go to Barnes and Noble, they have both.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's actually where it was, at Barnes and Noble.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
And he, so he in the movie he meets him in a coffee shop.
All right.
But so and then it's a very it's a non-linear kind of surreal trip
Of course.
until he comes back to the present moment.
Oh my goodness. So it's almost like an epic thing, for him. I mean, the moment when you saw it, well, what happened in the moment? I didn't see Trinity, but I'm curious now. That was like the climax of the film, and then after that, it was,
Well, that's how it starts.
It starts there. Okay, sounds like it makes sense.
The climax is when he has to finally brings himself back to the present moment.
Okay,
and then has to figure out what he's going to do.
What about you? How did your wife handle this?
The funny thing was, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, you know what, if we're Christmas shopping, I'm not going to let him ruin this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Christmas shopping. So I walked down some aisle, and then but I'm not present. I'm really not there.
Yeah.
And then I took a breath and I looked over, and he's helping my wife.
Helping your wife?
So I went over and
I mean helping her. You mean
he's looking at travel books for Italy.
Was he working in the store?
He was an employee.
He was working in the store.
Yeah, he did that. 2 days later he wasn't. But
right.
So I went over and said, "Look, we have to leave," and I just got her out of there.
Oh my goodness!
And when we got outside, I told her who it was. Now,
she didn't know until then?
No, she had no idea who I was
talking.
Wow. Yeah. So and I can say to you, yes, I can give you a name. Yes, this priest abused me.
Wow.
And
well, that's up to you. I don't need to know that.
No, but I'm just saying, even if I did, let's just say Father Smith, and it's not.
Okay,
let's just say Father Smith.
Right.
To you, that's just a name.
Exactly.
But now, if I say to you, "Oh, look, that's Father Smith right there," which is what I did to my wife, then all of a sudden it was real.
Yeah.
Here's this person. So I thought she was going to faint.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah. So then. Then the next, we contacted Barnes & Noble, said, there's a children's section here. So
that's why you got fired, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But he was eventually arrested in Texas.
Texas, yeah.
He was actually, they had to ship him back to Texas from here, and then he ended up,
well, he's obviously a level 3 sex offender. That's why, he is where he is.
But he actually died in jail.
Oh, that's good. I mean, what else can you say? I hate to say that, but... Jeez.
Yeah. So he, but it was, when he had finally done enough damage in Worcester Diocese, they transferred him to Fort Worth, and then, but he abused Baptist kids down there.
Oh my goodness.
And then the police didn't like that.
Well, I'll tell you something. I mean, well, let me ask you: Do you ever question your faith? I mean, being that you were raised as a Christian person, you wouldn't have gone to these schools. And I was wondering, do you have any? What is your opinion of that?
I'm not a Christian.
You're not?
No, not now. No.
Well, you were, but you were raised as one, or a Catholic.
I was raised a Catholic.
Right.
Sure. I'm not that either.
Okay, so you basically sworn that off.
I have.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I hate to say that too, because I know so many people seem to find comfort in that.
And that's good.
In those beliefs.
And if they do, that's good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever works,
right.
As long as nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
I'm all for, I have my own spiritual beliefs, and it's my own little made-up thing that makes me get up in the morning and get through the day. So, but it doesn't mean it would work for anybody else.
I mean, I'm a Jew who was raised as an atheist, basically, and the only reason that's true is because my father was kind of raised that way too. But I'm an agnostic, and when I hear, when all the scandals started breaking a few, back in whenever it was, I guess, like 15 years ago, about the Catholic Church. And about Cardinal Law, pardoning, being sort of like knowing about it and not doing anything. It makes me so glad that I wasn't, in that situation.
Yeah.
And in any capacity, I mean, I don't understand it. Now, you have kids of your own? The reason I'm asking is because I assume they're raised in a different way than.
Well, this was. I did start to raise them as Catholic.
Interesting.
Well, it took me.
Well, you were trying to purify their beliefs in such a way so
I was no.
They didn't have to go through what you did.
I was just going. I was probably repeating unhealthy patterns.
Right.
But I was also a raging alcoholic. I mean,
wow.
I mean, alcoholism is one of my coping mechanisms. So,
yeah.
So I mean, I was just doing what everybody we were raised to do.
Yeah.
It was
amazing.
Yeah.
I have to admit, you're dropping a load here, and it's hard for me. I know it's okay. It's good. It's a good show, but I have to admit, I'm totally done an exit stage left because I had not expected it. That's good.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, it gives you a chance to vent, which is good too.
Well, once I did the one-man show,
Right. It almost purified your soul. No
yeah,
pun intended.
that was the cathartic moment.
Exactly.
So
Wow.
now this is more just for information.
Okay.
But the interesting thing, and now I'm really going to bum you out, when you asked if I had kids, Shauna, I had identical twin daughters.
Okay.
And Shauna was the first one to actually leave the church.
Okay.
She actually said,
Are they adults now?
see, this is, but one of them died.
Oh,
this is
no.
where I'm just gonna, because this is and I'm laughing as I'm telling you this because I know I'm making you really uncomfortable.
No, you're not. That's okay.
No, this is when I sent you the information. We have the Shauna Shea
Yeah.
Foundation.
Right. I did not know that's what you meant.
that's
Okay.
named
I mean,
after my
I did
daughter.
not know that was the reason.
Yeah, we have a foundation in my daughter's name, and
Yeah.
we give local scholarships in Uxbridge and Southbridge, and we also have a fellowship for female filmmakers.
Okay.
And we have a film festival in her name. That's our major fundraiser.
Wow.
But one of the things that she was such an independent spirit. She looked at the church and said, this is none of this works for me.
Okay.
And she said that when she was around 15.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Oof. Well, okay. Well, why don't we, then what we should do from now is talk about your projects, all the projects you've ever done. That's what I like to hear
Okay.
about.
Yeah, now that we've got that out of the way.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So where do you want to start?
Well, try to do chronological order as best you can remember.
Well, the
Was Trinity the first project?
Trinity's my first feature. The first short I did was that I wrote and directed was They Serve Breakfast Here All Day Long.
That was the name of it?
That was the name of it.
Okay.
I view shooting. I mean, shorts are a nice piece of art on their own. They all have great merit.
They do.
But I also looked at this as a way to learn
Yep.
the craft.
Yep.
I mean, as much as I took from doing background.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked on a lot of the films locally because a lot of them come through.
Sure.
So I was able to see like Richard Kelly, the guy who did Donnie Darko. He did The Box here.
Okay.
Martin Scorsese.
As he directed our scenes in Shutter Island, too.
Yep.
Did you work with him, too?
Martin?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a funny story.
Okay, go for it.
For me with Martin.
Yep.
You were probably told the same thing. If he, comes on set, look away. You can't look at him.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, he was very friendly to us. In fact, when I was...
we got the opposite.
No way, because when I was doing my scene, I played a mental patient. I was being escorted across the floor in handcuffs and foot shackles. The girl who played the nurse that was doing that had worked with Sarah Silverman, my cousin, out in L.A., and she told Scorsese that I was her cousin, and he said, I see the family resemblance. We had a blast.
See, that's good. See, we were told day one there.
It was a very informal scene we did. It was great. Just,
if it's a smaller scene, I think it would be different.
Yeah, it was a very small scene, just 4 people.
When there's a lot of people there, he
Yes.
was like, if you look at him, you'll be fired. Don't talk to him.
Okay.
So
no one told us that at all. We saw him in the second summer. There was the winter scene that I'm just describing now, but then in the summertime we went back, and he didn't say anything to us. This was the outdoor scene that they did, I believe, at the beginning of the film, where all the mental patients were collaborating around the yard and doing the yard work, which they had me doing
right.
too. Yeah. And nobody said don't talk to him. All they said was don't open your cell phones up to take pictures.
Yeah, but that's a given.
Right.
But anyway, so so there's this big room,
Yep.
and we're all in there. So they sit me in the back.
Yep.
And they say, you're depressed, go like this.
We're talking about Shutter Island. There's this other project.
This is Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
So
Okay.
so sit like this.
Yep.
So I think, all right, I'll just they say action. So I do that. Then I think, why don't I just stay like this?
Okay.
Because if he comes in,
He won't be looking at him.
and I won't get fired.
Exactly.
So
Wow.
so I just stayed like this.
Yeah.
And twice, I got a tap on my shoulder, and I look up, and it's him.
Wow.
Scorsese, and he says, "Great job." And then I think,
Well, that's great.
Oh, I think he thinks I'm a method actor, and like I'm staying in character, when I'm actually just avoiding him so I don't get fired.
So it worked out for your benefit.
It did, and that's why then I got the
You got the
whole
party,
escape,
and you got
the
seen.
escape
Like I
scene.
said, everything happens for a reason.
So it
That was huge for you.
That was fun.
Yeah,
But
sure.
you know, worked with him. I was on Taking Woodstock with Ang Lee.
Okay.
You'll hear me say these one lines we get.
Did you write? No, these are projects. These are films you've written, right?
No. I didn't write anything for Ang Lee.
Okay.
Ang Lee's a huge Oscar winner. I'm just explaining. These were the sets that I was on.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So then I could observe how the stuff was done.
Right.
So then when I would bring hopefully that knowledge to the shorts.
Yeah.
But I then would still look at a short like minor league baseball.
Okay.
Like this is where I really learn the craft before I do a feature. So I did. They serve breakfast here all day long. I did this one that's just me. It was literally just me. I was the crew, and there was no other crew.
Wow.
I had too many people as crew on the first one because I thought I needed it.
Okay.
And then I realized I don't need to act like Hollywood to do anything.
Right.
So the second short I made was Video Diary, and it was literally just me. I did the sound, I set up the camera, I acted in it,
Okay.
it was everything. Then I did choices. Then ultimately, it came to the point where I was interested in doing a web series.
Okay.
I thought this was a long time ago.
Sure.
I thought if we did a web series and we self-distributed, we could make all the money, cut out the
Exactly.
middleman.
Yep.
And we just
Never as easy as you think it's going to be. I know that.
nothing is.
Right.
So I did a lot of research, and the marketing budget alone, and this would have been horror because you could market horror. You know, at that time there were 3 or 4 major horror magazines.
Right.
You know,
magazines.
Yeah.
You mean about film? You mean about horror films?
Just horror in general, like Fangoria, Rue Morgue,
Okay.
Horror Hound, Diabolique.
Well, I know, but are you talking about magazines that like with stories in them?
No, these they would do stories, but you take out an ad in these.
Oh, okay.
And say, you come, pay $1 and watch our web series, or pay whatever we were going to charge.
Oh, okay.
But
so you could advertise your web series in the magazine.
Right, but that would have cost, if I did a proper marketing campaign, it would have cost $400,000.
Wow. Yes.
And we would have shot like the series for, far less than that.
Of course.
So I thought, well, why don't I just try to make one horror short,
Okay.
6 minutes, best horror for under $1.
There you go.
And I will guerrilla market it.
Okay.
And
Did you say guerrilla marketing?
Yes.
You mean is that like black? Is that like what do you call it? The black market?
Well, it's more like I'm not paying anyone.
Oh, okay.
So I made the short, and I would literally, for hours, sit on Twitter.
Okay.
And do hashtag horror blog.
Wow.
And then I would find out who's writing these things. I would follow them on Twitter. I would start a conversation. And then I would say, hey, do you want to review my short?
Okay. Well, how did you get actors for your short? Or did you just do it yourself?
There were only 2 people in it.
Okay. You were included?
No.
Well, okay. Well, who are the other 2 people? The 2 people.
Alex and Aurora.
Okay.
and-
Is Alex Clark one of those people?
No.
Okay.
He actually moved out to L.A., and I really would like to get him back here. And Aurora Gabriel, she's been in almost...
What's Alex's last name? You don't remember?
It's I should, but I can't.
A&A, right. Alex and Aurora. I like it.
So
Boy, male and female, right?
yes.
Okay.
And it's an unbelievably brutal film.
Should be. Only 6 minutes, too, huh?
Yeah, so...
A lot of brutality can occur in 6 minutes.
Yeah, and only 3. The brutality only takes place for half of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was the other half?
The setup.
Wait a minute. The setup. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess I sort of get what you're saying.
The setup for the brutality that would come next.
I see what you mean. First the setup, then the brutality.
But it then, all of a sudden... it just took off.
Wow. How so? It took off where?
It got great reviews, and then the next thing you know, film festivals were saying, hey, can we screen this?
Wow.
Like they're inviting me.
Sure.
So I thought, okay, and then I realized at this moment in LinkedIn, this guy, George Russo, asked to connect with me.
Okay.
And
Wow.
he co-wrote the original Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
So it was then that I realized, okay, I'm a horror guy.
That's a big feature, that Night of the Living Dead.
It's enormous.
Wow.
One of the,
I know I should know more about. I should have more of a knowledge of films, and I don't. As even though I've interviewed so many filmmakers, sometimes the big ones elude me because I don't really watch that many films. I know I should, but
No shoulds.
well, maybe I should then. All right, whatever you say.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
But I realized, everybody's trying to brand themselves.
Of course.
I was given this.
Wow.
You know, all of a sudden I'm a horror guy, and then it's funny. I remember telling my daughter Erin,
Okay.
you know, I'm going to be making horror films, and she brought me over to my DVD collection and said, "Well, of course you are. Look at what you own. I'm a huge horror geek."
Okay.
So maybe that's kind of where I belonged anyway.
Right.
So then I did a follow-up horror short called Ave Maria. Microcinema didn't really talk about the church at all.
Okay.
But talked about predators,
Okay.
and it went after a predator. Ave Maria, I wanted to then go at the church.
Okay.
So I made this, another 6-minute short.
Right. Called Ave Maria?
Called Ave Maria. I'll tell you
Okay.
the background. It's basically you see these women wearing masks, you know, dragging a naked man through the woods. They tie him to a chair.
You know something? I wouldn't have minded being that man.
Yes, you would.
Really?
Okay. And let me finish.
All right. I'm just kidding.
Because he's tied naked to the chair.
Right.
And then they castrate him.
That I would have minded.
Yeah. See that exactly. And he dies. And all the while they're playing. They take out an old '78 record and they play this version of Ave Maria.
Okay. Ave Maria. Is that like an old song from the Renaissance era?
It's a churchy song.
Ah. Okay.
And the version of Ave Maria that I played in this movie was sung by Alessandro Morsecchi.
No relation to Alanis Morissette.
No, Morsecchi.
Oh, Morsecchi. I thought you said Morissette. Okay.
And he it was recorded in the 1920s.
That's a male, a guy.
It's a guy.
Okay, so an opera singer sounds like.
Sort of.
Okay.
He was recorded in the 1920s.
Okay.
But he was the last known castrati.
Castrati.
Which means he was castrated.
Wow.
At the age of 8 to sing, to have this voice forever, to sing like that for the Pope.
Was this guy from like Europe? He couldn't have been from the U.S.
Yes.
They didn't have that kind of stuff going on in the U.S.
No, well, no, I don't know.
At least not legally, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, see, actually, back, in
Not in the 20th century, really. They might have done.
Well, it was he was probably castrated around 1885.
Oh, 1885.
But he was able to record this in 1920.
Okay.
Because he was still alive.
Must have been a tough 37 years, however long it was.
Well, yeah. So he but back then when someone was castrated, if the church came to you in Italy or anywhere in Europe and said, we want to take your son to sing for the Pope and we're going to castrate him, people would.
They were honored.
They thought it was a blessing.
All in the name of the Catholic Church.
So at the end.
I'm glad I'm a Jew, man. I'm sorry about that, but.
I'm not offended.
Okay.
And at the very end, then these women burned a priest's shirt in a fire pit.
Just a shirt, though.
So then you see that the person they castrated was a priest. So it's kind of like balancing the karmic ledger, if you will. So I make this horror short.
Yeah.
And I submit that.
Sounds like it's based on a lot of true stories too.
Well, the song part is true, and that's what I wanted to educate people on.
Wow.
But it ended up at the Interior Horror Festival in Rome.
Okay.
In Italy.
Your film did.
It did, and I went,
Wow.
and it won the Audience Award for Best Film.
Oh my goodness! And I don't suppose they didn't even need a translator for the. All they had to do was see what was going on.
Right.
And they told the tale.
That's basically it.
Wow.
So then it was after those two shorts.
Gripping, man! I'm telling you, gripping.
That's what I do.
That's what you do.
And then, so it was after that I was able to the success of those two shorts, I was able to make Trinity.
Okay. But I thought Trinity preceded those shorts.
Trinity's the last thing I made.
The last thing, okay. And all right, now when did you finish Trinity?
March of last year.
Of 2016?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. So what are you doing currently? Now you say you're currently writing. You have like 5 projects that are on the back burner right now, right?
Right, but currently I'm still pushing Trinity.
You're still pushing it.
That's you have to let a film have its life, run its course.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to sell it.
I understand. Did you play it in any film festivals?
It's played in over 20 film festivals around the world.
Wow.
It was just at the Scene Film Festival in Providence.
Oh yeah, that's what you were talking. You were there the other day. That's
Yep.
why you were there. Okay.
It was just at the Boston.
What does SENE stand for? Scene.
Southeastern New England.
Okay. Okay.
It was just at the Boston Underground Film Festival.
Wow.
Buff, which is both of them are amazing film festivals.
Right.
I was honored to be a part of both of them. But it's done really well overseas.
Okay.
It's won 7 awards around the world.
I'm wondering if it actually also opened up the eyes of people in the Catholic Church that might, be able to deal with this issue, because it sounds like it might still be going on in places.
I don't think it's ever stopped.
Right, exactly. That's
No.
my point. So
Yeah.
you think maybe that would be the Pope himself might see it and say, hey, maybe we can, it might open up some doors. I'm just saying.
I don't think the Pope has any interest in changing anything.
Really?
No.
Jeez, I thought this guy was kind of cool. That's what I thought. I thought this Pope they have now is like considered like the most the most benevolent Pope that we've had in like 6 centuries. That's what I thought I heard. Not including Pope Paul. He was kind of cool too.
He was horrible.
He was.
He's a saint now, but see, I'm coming from.
Well, all right,
I'm
you're
coming from
your
a
own
different
experiences,
angle.
right? I understand.
But
you know him better than I do.
But he, the Pope, the one who just became a saint.
I mean, he died.
Oh, well, no, but then they made him a saint.
Right. They don't. He has to be deceased first, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And no, he was a big.
Is that the one who was shot in '81?
I think so. Then,
okay.
then
Yeah.
he
After
forgave
Reagan,
the guy.
Right. Okay.
And he but he was a big part of the cover up.
Cover up. Jeez.
And I believe this guy's also doing the same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. So maybe this film will open some eyes. But obviously, maybe the Pope isn't going to do anything. But maybe the authorities will step in. No, you don't think so?
The authorities
around the world. I mean, this is worldwide stuff.
The UN has already done 2 exposés on this.
Wow.
For actual torture. They call it torture
It
of children.
It is torture.
So I mean, they've actually have these 2 big reports on the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And this was only a few years ago that these reports came out.
Yeah. Wow.
And what has happened since then?
Nothing, right?
The Pope speaks, in front of Congress and the Senate here.
Doesn't mention it. Oh man.
Yeah. So this country will do nothing. Ireland kind of threw the church out. Australia really threw the church out.
Wow.
Italy, the church almost seems like it's background noise to them.
My
just
goodness.
white noise. But here, for some reason, getting any kind of change here is just, I don't see it happening.
Well, I have to say is all I know is that when I heard about Cardinal Law and what about O'Malley in Boston? I thought isn't he kind of like been trying to help the people that were victims of this stuff? Pastor, was it?
I'm just going to bum you out so much. No. This
Okay.
is all.
I'm
This
just
is
asking. I
This
don't
is
know.
this
That's
is
right.
all PR.
Okay.
They helped the first round.
Right.
Great news stories. Now, if somebody comes forward now, they don't get so much.
Wow.
Because this papers aren't covering it anymore anyway.
Yeah. Well, not now, but
So
wow.
why do they really have to help like they say they're going to?
Because they should. I mean, because it's wrong. Because they should do something about it.
Yeah.
If they, let me tell you something. In my opinion, now this is my one man's opinion. They should abolish the Catholic Church. If that's what it takes to stop this, then maybe they should do it. They're trying. What about? Look, they're trying to give I just heard today. I heard yesterday that they're giving number 1. They were talking about. I don't know if you listen to the Howie Carr show.
I haven't in a long time.
You haven't? Well, and it wasn't even Howie Carr. It was Jeff Cooner. He's the guy that precedes Howie Carr. And one of the guys I had on my show last year is one of the engineers for his show. It was in the afternoon. Well, they're talking about making women members of the priests now, and a lot of people feel that that's not a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea because maybe that will open some eyes. Maybe women will be more apt to try and help people that have gone through this than men would be. That's why. How harmful could it be to try it?
No, I think anybody who if they.
But a lot of people, most people say it's not a good idea though. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna take so much political clout to make it happen, and it's probably not going to happen. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen. I don't look to the church to solve anything.
Oh, I know you don't, but I'm just saying.
I don't think anyone should look to the church to solve this. I'm not talking specifically about clergy abuse.
Right.
I think we need to look at our prosecutors.
Okay.
To solve this.
That makes sense.
And that's where we need to apply pressure there.
Right.
On our state's attorney general, on federal attorney generals, because if one bishop, I mean, this guy that abused me, that he was moved all over Worcester before he went to Texas.
Yeah.
So each diocese, they knew he abused somebody in.
Okay.
So a bishop knowingly was covering up crimes.
Wow.
So if we start prosecuting bishops.
So you think they should prosecute the higher ups then?
So if you prosecute a guy who right now probably makes the equivalent of $200,000 a year and take away his steak from every night.
That's what a bishop makes?
Close.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not poor. And
no,
then,
I guess not.
And then put him in a jail cell.
Right.
You prosecute one, the rest of the bishops will take notice. You prosecute 2 or 3, then there'll be massive reform because they're not going to want to give up their lifestyle for a pedophile.
Yeah, well, yeah, but what about a lot of pedophiles? That sounds like that's what's going on here. Well, why don't you make a film about that? Why don't you make a film where that does happen and it might turn a few heads? Just a thought. I mean, listen, this is so heavy to me. This is so unexpected. I didn't even. But I mean, because I always try to give advice to my guests that might behoove them. I don't know if you created a hypothetical situation that could probably benefit a lot of people and turn it into a film, it might actually be benevolent to a lot of people.
I think.
But that's what I would guess, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think for this subject,
yeah,
and as we're not doing right now, I think either humor or horror are the vehicles to tell these stories,
right?
Because they're safe vehicles,
right?
And people can then watch them and grasp it. If it was a straight up drama that way, I don't think anyone would see it.
Okay. Right, but doing it this way, is it helping anybody? Is what I'm asking. It's entertaining, obviously, but is it helping victims of this stuff?
Even since doing the one-man show,
right?
I'm constantly. Someone always contacts me and says, "Hey, this happened to me too."
Okay, but does that? Yeah, all right, but still nothing's happening to the abusers.
No, this isn't going to change that. This is when we have to go lobby our representatives, yeah. and I have done that before, and I'll probably get back to it again. But
sure.
But so my focus with these films is to. If somebody comes to me and says, yes, this happened to me too, and I'm the person they're finally confiding in,
yeah,
great. And then they need to find a therapist.
Yeah,
and the only thing they need to do is have a good life.
Yeah.
They don't ever need to come forward. There's a lot of pressure on people to do this stuff. They just need to get well.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
So then this no longer controls their life. And and if I help people do that, then I'm doing more than anything.
Yeah, if you help anyone, even just one person, it's definitely a big thing. I mean, to help as many as you can.
And at the same time, if I can, make people angry who see my movie, then I'm also succeeding.
Exactly. Okay. Well, you're obviously stirring a pot of emotions for a lot of people.
Yes.
As well, you should be. Wow.
Yeah, I generally sit at the back of the cinema when either Ave Maria or Trinity are screening to see how many people will leave.
Leave? Do they leave?
Oh, people walk out. People walked out of my one-man show.
Okay. A lot of people? Why do you think they did that? You think it was because they were too shocked or offended?
I'm offended.
They were offended?
Yes, I will offend people.
Okay. No, that's fine to offend people, but wow. Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, do you think they were offended because they felt they were trying to deny it in their own minds that this stuff's going on? Or
I'm
guessing a lot of people want to do that. And I can see why, but still, you need to.
It's a very complex thing because the same guy that abused me that I ran into at the bookstore, more than likely, did a very priestly duty and helped a family through a serious crisis because that's his job.
Yes.
So when I tell my story, they're offended because they can't believe believe that this guy who helped my family did this.
Yeah,
and I'm not really invalidating their story, and they're not really invalidating mine, but they can't accept that.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody does something really good for you, and then you find out they're a serial killer, you say, "Oh, I don't want to know that."
Right.
Yeah.
And I think therein lies the dilemma with all of this.
Sure.
So I understand why people are offended by me.
I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, no, I mean that makes perfect sense. Okay. So that having been said. What has 2017 been for you like so far? I mean, in terms of projects, just that you're working on. I know Trinity you screen that. I assume you see that. You go to see that a lot. Are you doing it? I mean, any current projects what's your current project? Your most current one that you're on?
It's Trinity because everything else is in development.
Okay.
And that's like such early stages.
When are you going to make the transition from pushing Trinity to the next project?
Well, that's what development is.
Right, but
I can't really announce much about it right now. But I have another feature length. It's not as church themed. It's very, very small. There'll always be a small piece of it in all of my work.
Of course.
But this is more probably a metaphor for the current political climate.
Okay. Mean Trump in office and all his cronies?
That kind of stuff.
Okay.
And, well, it's that kind of stuff, although at a much lower level. And so that's in development.
Well, that's a pretty big deal, too, the way things are going right now.
We live in interesting times.
We do, say the least.
We live in very, very interesting times. I don't know what to make of it.
I know. I mean, here, you know, I mean, you have a lot of, you put a lot of political stuff in your projects of late. I know you're not in the early days, but
I know. I think I've always been political through my art,
right,
one way or another.
Well, how so when you're at? What do you like? Anything? Now, do you still paint at all or draw?
I actually just did a painting that's actually I think the opening is this weekend at the University of Wisconsin Superior. It's part of
a picture. You mean a Superior? You mean like that's a clergy person, right?
No, University of Wisconsin Superior is up by Lake Superior.
Okay, well, my uncle went to school there.
The one by Lake Superior.
Well, the one in Madison. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's a different one.
Right.
Okay.
And Megan Peterson, she's getting her master's in art therapy.
Okay.
So
is art therapy? Oh, that sounds awesome. What now? What exactly is art therapy?
No idea.
Okay.
I think it's.
You'll find out when she gets. Is she a friend? I assume she's a friend of yours.
She's a friend. She's a fellow
artist.
Well, she's a member of the clergy abuse club.
Oh, okay.
And so she's getting her.
It does seem ironic that these people that have been abused that can end up benefiting your life in other ways too.
Well, because
you share common interests and talents with them.
Yeah, she's amazing. So she's going to become an art therapist.
Wow.
And so part of her thesis is this body image.
Well, you're going to take a course, aren't you? Or you're going to figure out you're going to ask her you're going to find out what it's all about when she doesn't.
Well, she just asked for a painting, so I did one for her.
Okay. What is she going to do with it in terms of?
It's hanging. It's exhibit. It's about body image of people who've been abused.
Okay.
So I had to do.
Where's it? It's just up in Wisconsin. That's it.
Right.
Okay.
The opening is this weekend.
Okay, in Wisconsin.
Right.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So no. So I guess the short answer is yes. I'm still painting.
Oh, good. Okay. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And you do a lot of them. I mean, just how often do you paint regularly? Draw?
No. I want to get back to it. When I started making movies, it's so much work.
Right.
And not only just the writing of it, the pre-production,
right,
production, post-production, but it's the nurturing it so then it finds an audience.
Right. Exactly.
You have to be very, very patient. Yeah, and you have to stick with it.
Well, how do you go about marketing your stuff? I mean, you submit it to you Twitter people and stuff. Is that how it works?
I submit it to film festival. Right now, it's just about submitting it to film festivals. As far as people learning about Trinity, I couldn't have asked for more.
Okay.
Because the three big horror magazines now are Horror Hound, Rue Morgue, and Diabolique.
Okay.
Horror Hound reviewed it in print.
Yes.
And screened it at their film festival, and it won an award. Lynn Lowry won Best Actress.
Okay.
Rue Morgue did a big interview with me about it. Diabolique reviewed it. So I've, as far as the genre,
yeah.
I mean, in this country, I've got some of the best publicity I could have gotten.
That's awesome, and now you're on my show too.
So right, I think I'm all. It's done now.
What? Right. I mean, you come to the no pun intended, the cream of the crop here.
That's exactly right.
Right. You knew that going in, which I appreciate. Well, but when you say these magazines interview you, how do they do it? How do you get in touch with? Do they see you put it out there and they contact you? Is that it?
Well, it started with Horror Hound.
Right. The editors call you? Is that how it works?
Well, no, I submitted. They have a film festival.
Okay.
They have a horror festival.
So each of these magazines has a film festival?
Just Horror Hound.
Just Horror Hound. Okay.
So I submitted to them and it got in, which was enormous.
Right.
And then I went to the convention and the festival, and then we won an award.
Okay.
And they reviewed it, and then so then it kind of put me on the map.
Sure.
And then Boston Underground Film Festival, BUFF.
Okay.
Once it was there.
Where do they hold that? I know it's in Boston, but
it's actually in Cambridge.
Oh, Cambridge. Okay.
It's at the
something on Mass Ave, maybe.
It's at the Brattle.
The Brattle. Okay. Brattle Street.
I love that theater.
Okay. Cool. I've been there too.
So they showed. So that they showed it, both Rue Morgue and Diabolique then contacted me.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's word of mouth basically.
You have to just keep putting it out there.
Putting it out there, I know.
I'm again, this is boring.
No, it isn't.
Stuff, but mostly I'm trying to get it into foreign markets, foreign festivals, because I want to sell it.
Well, of course, that's where the
first.
Catholic Church originated. You might as well, go to the source, as they say.
Well, it's funny you say that because this is one 2 awards in Italy,
Wow.
an award in Brazil, an award in Argentina, all incredibly Catholic countries.
So do you travel to these countries a lot?
No, I'll go to Italy.
You go to Italy regularly? I mean, particularly, why Italy more than any of these? Have you ever been to those other countries?
No.
Okay.
I would love to, but there's a financial there are
There is a
financial constraints.
financial, right.
But Italy, my wife has cousins there.
Okay.
In Rome.
Yes.
So we go and stay in Rome.
Wow.
With them, and because of my wife, I'm also a dual citizen.
Okay.
So I'm a citizen of Italy.
Cool.
Shea, my last name's Shea, and I'm
I
Italian.
know, that's what I'm
Go
saying.
figure.
I was going to ask you.
How does that work?
What's your given name? Is it Skip? It's not really Skip, is it?
No, it's George.
George. Okay, Skip's a cool name, though.
Skip is much better.
It is. I like it. Yeah.
Unless we're thinking of like George Harrison, then it
Right,
would
well,
be
Harrison.
better,
Right, exactly. Harrison's always a good name, too.
but- Right. No, Skip.
Right.
Actually, I was been called Skip my whole life. My mother,
Yeah.
out of the womb, was calling me Skip.
There you go. That's cool. I always wondered why. I know a few people called Skip, and I never could understand what that name meant. But it's always a cool sounding name.
I have no idea what
My
it
guess
means.
is, I'm wondering it's because maybe you were as a kid, you might have, you were somebody that was active, maybe hyperactive, and sometimes.
No, this was literally out of the womb.
Either that or they like peanut butter.
Yeah. Yes, well, it is the best.
Right,
peanut
exactly.
butter.
Or Jif is. Well, I never named the kid Jif.
No.
Have they?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think we should start a trend.
Yeah, I agree. Trends. I said a lot of those trends.
That would be a good one.
It is, yeah.
Jif.
Well, let me ask you this: how many have you, aside from? So, what roles have you had as an actor in other films? Any other ones besides Shutter Island and
Well, the one
and even indie films? Who have you worked with in indie films as an actor?
I worked with Garth Donovan.
Okay. And what have you done in those films?
I played a cop once, a homicide investigator.
Okay. Indie film around here made?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. And then I haven't really done much.
You've done way more behind the scenes than in the.
I prefer
okay.
being
Of course.
behind the scenes.
I understand. That's why I'm trying to weed out all the stuff you've done in front of the camera first, so we can figure out.
So most of it.
Make sure we get it all out on the table, if you don't mind putting it out on the table.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Most of the stuff has been, background work.
Okay.
When
Meaning extra.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So
Ever do any TV commercials?
no.
Okay.
Actually, Twin River
You
Casinos.
were in that? Were you in that one with Peter Morse and David Affleck?
No.
Okay.
I have. Whenever they did the town,
Yeah.
that was the last time I was in front of a camera.
The Town. What do you mean the Town?
The Ben Affleck thing.
Oh, okay. That was the film that you were. Okay. That was.
I was just one of the millions of cops in it.
I understand.
But that was the last time.
Ever been in a music video?
Not that I can think of.
How about now? Are you musically inclined yourself? Do you ever play any instruments, sing?
No, and I think that's something I would have loved to have. Maybe.
Why don't you
someday.
do it then? You're not too old.
I am not too
You have
old.
a voice.
I have a voice.
You have wind. If you want, I'm sure you could blow a clarinet, or you have fingers. You could play a keyboard.
It's just finding the time to learn.
I understand. Right. I understand.
But no, I mean, because music is.
You love music.
More than.
And don't forget, it's an art form too, just like painting.
It's one of my
It's a
favorite
great
art
art
forms.
form. Yeah.
I'm going to concerts all the time.
Sure you are.
I love music.
Cool. Well, you just like the Beatles. Love, love, love.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
That's all we need. Love
Well,
is all we need.
that's all you need. Well, have you ever? I'm just wondering, have you ever incorporated anyone else's music in any of your productions?
As a matter of fact, I have.
Okay.
The Duende Project.
The Duende, I've heard of that.
The Duende Project.
Yeah.
They're an amazing band. It's kind of spoken word.
Are they from
singing.
Brazil? They sound.
No, they're actually from Worcester.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They do. It's funny you say Brazil though, because they do a tango.
Okay.
In Trinity.
There you go.
And then people dance a tango.
Oh, good. Okay, so there was
in
an
the scene.
upbeat part of Trinity, obviously.
Well,
Tango, it's a very upbeat dance.
Well, yeah, but you have to see the scene. It's
That's true.
it's kind of like yeah. The same with Trinity to me.
Yeah.
Some of it is very funny to me.
It is. Okay.
But a lot of people generally don't laugh at the things that I think are
Well,
funny.
that's true. Well, you've conditioned yourself to be able to laugh at stuff that most people would not. And believe me, you got to give yourself a lot of credit for that, because I know I couldn't. At least not. I don't think I could if I had to, undergo this, stuff that you have.
I think humor.
Well, humor's great. I
it's
mean,
like
I laugh
saved my
at a lot
life.
of stuff. It's true. Yeah. It is true, and it's better than humor is the best medicine. Anyone will tell you. It's not just a cliche.
Well,
laughter is the best medicine.
And I don't know how else but to paraphrase this, but nothing can withstand the power of laughter, and that's Mark Twain. He's saying, if you point
Jeez,
at
I didn't even hear that one. But that is smart.
Well, it's Mark Twain.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, but if you point at something and laughed, you completely take away their power.
Exactly.
So as long as I'm laughing, then nothing's got a hold over me.
I know. That's absolutely true. Well, guess what? That's the amount of time we have left.
All right.
We made the hour go by pretty quick. So what I want you to do. Well,
this is the feel-good episode of the year so far, I'm assuming. We're just talking about all.
Well, I hope it is for you.
All fun things. No, I'm having fun.
Well, so what I'm going to ask you to do in the remaining time we have is to
All right.
give a few shouts out to people, because a lot of people are going to see the show. You can look at the camera, not the camera, but look at the monitor, like you look like. There you go.
Okay.
Just condense them.
Shout outs
There's
to
not people in your life, your family,
well,
your
obviously
wife,
my wife Anna,
people, your fans, whatever. People in Rome, anything. Your cousins there, her cousins. There you go.
Gianna.
They're going to see it.
Hello to the family. Hello to the family in Rome. Hello to Anna, Aaron, Andrew, Bella. Bella's my granddaughter, and she's in Trinity.
Well, I looked at a couple of pictures of two little girls. Were those your granddaughters?
That's yesterday was my twin daughter's birthday.
Oh, okay.
So you saw a picture of Aaron and Sean.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say hello to Sean Carmichael. He was the lead in Trinity. Hello to Nolan Yee. He was the director of photography. That's why the film looks so amazing.
Cool. Okay.
Hello to Wicked Bird Media.
I love the name of that.
Who Stacy Buchanan and Jess Barnhouse. They producers of Trinity.
Okay.
They're just amazing people. Hello to David Graziano. He plays the creepy.
I know that name
He
very
plays
well.
the creepy ass priest in Trinity.
Wow.
Hello to Will Smith. He's in Florida. He's a DP in Florida.
Okay. DP, what's that mean?
Director of photography.
Director of photography, okay.
He's pretty amazing. Hello to the Mass Indie Film Festival people. Hello to the Shea Film Festival people. I think that's...
Well, I'll tell you what. Also, I just want you to know, I want you to pass this word. If they like this show, I'd like to get any of those people on as guests.
Absolutely.
But,
David just made a film, and Sean's involved in so much stuff.
Cool. Well, I love to get these. See, a lot of my guests come through word of mouth. So when they see this show, hopefully they'll want to come on as well. And if you promote it, which is what I'm going to ask you to do,
and of course I will.
Yeah, that's and you've been a fan of mine for a long time, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch more of your stuff, and where can I see Trinity? Where's the next showing of it?
But you just missed the last local one, but I sent you a link.
Is it? Oh, can I see it on my computer?
Yeah.
The whole thing. Okay. How long is it?
It's 85 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. No problem.
I sent you the link to my 2 horror shorts in Trinity.
Okay, cool. On my wall? Well, you can do that.
No, not on your wall because...
Oh, you mean emailed me?
Yeah, because it's in the however we were messaging each other.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, in the inbox messages. And my cat loves watching films too, so I'm sure she'll enjoy it.
Cats love this movie.
They do.
That is actually my biggest...
They love horror.
They are my biggest fan base are actually cats.
Well, there you go. Mine's 17, and she's going to get a kick out of this. I tell you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Okay. Well, listen. On that note, are you ready to? Oh, you didn't do it the first time.
No,
a lot of my guests will do it. Won't do it the first time.
I just kind of groove watching you do it.
Okay.
You have like Doc Severinsen over there
right,
in his
exactly.
band.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they got nothing on me because because Carson always sat still through that. But he was the host. But I don't sit still. I boogie, baby.
That's right. Yeah. You're more. Letterman didn't really dance?
None of them did it. I'm the only one.
That's it. Well,
Kimmel didn't either.
No, I like Jimmy. Jimmy's actually.
He was Sarah Silverman's boyfriend for 5
right.
years too.
Right. You were almost like sort of related to him.
Well, yeah, sort of, but not. But
eventually,
they broke up, and so that tie was severed all those years ago too.
But eventually, he ended up with Ben Affleck, apparently.
So I hear. All right. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching Topic Times. See you next week with another great guest. Hopefully, I expect we will. We usually do. And on that note, have a good night. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Here we go.
Oh, you got it right on time.
Oh yeah. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 7 years, man.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are we supposed to talk during this though?
Lately, I've just been snapping my fingers over the graphics so that before we black out, they can see it.